Do you like dogs?
Dogs. You like dogs?
I like dogs. And I like Brad Pitt. But more importantly, I really like upward facing dog, and that is what we are going to be talking about today. I'm going to be breaking down the benefits, how to execute, basically just everything you need to know about Urdhva, Mukha, Svanasana, or upward facing dog. Let's do this. Okay, so what is upward facing dog? It's this pose, and it's really, really common in vinyasa yoga because it's included within that vinyasa. So we commonly will go from down dog to plank, down through chaturanga dandasana, and then up into either cobra pose, bhujangasana, or upward facing dog, Urdhva Mukha Svanasana. It's something that you're going to come across quite frequently in the yoga practice. And it's obviously a back bend, so it's often used in a back bend series as well. Let's get on with how do you get into it. I like to coach everyone to get into it from, before you go from like chaturanga and push straight up into upward facing dog, to learn it from the bhujangasana cobra position. So we come into a supine position, we place our hands next to our rib cage, fingers pointing forward, draw the shoulders down and back so that the heads of our shoulders kind of point up, and we're active through the upper back. From there, you're going to press into all 10 fingers, pressing into the hands, and push to lift your knees, hips, and thighs off the floor. So this is your upward facing dog, and we want to really feel like we're pulling the heart through the arms here, radiating and opening up through the heart center. Belly pulls in, so I'm drawing the belly button in towards the spine. I'm squeezing my glutes, I'm tucking my tailbone, my legs are super active. Like everything is really active in this position. I tend not to drop my head way back, but some people do like to do this and to release the bunda, the chin neck bunda that often people will be doing. I didn't mean to touch on that in this particular video, but I'm gonna leave it in there. We'll talk about bundas in another video, but we want to think about opening everything up. If you have any sort of closing angle joint pain, you don't want to do that, and I'll talk about that in a second in the contraindications. So from the intermediate entry, we're coming in from a chaturanga dandasana position. Now in the chaturanga dandasana, the toes are curled under. So when you push up, you're gonna push knees, hips, and thighs off the floor, or they're already off the floor. So we're pushing to continue in, and we need to roll over the tops of the feet. So we allow the toes to uncurl so that we're in this upward facing dog position. The whole way through, we want to think about keeping the glutes squeezed to really support this position. What are the benefits? Something that's commonly overlooked in terms of a benefit of upward facing dog is scapular retraction and depression strength that it cultivates. Like, what the hell does that mean, Shona? Let me explain. So bhujangasana, which I would say is kind of like upward facing dog's like little cousin. They're in the same family. They're not siblings, but they're in the same family. What that helps to teach you is, again, same thing. Depression and retraction of the scapula in an activated position. So we're active in bhujangasana. But when you come into upward facing dog, same thing. We want to draw the scapula down and back into the back pockets of our jeans. Hopefully we're not wearing jeans when we do yoga. But that position under load, because we also have to lift our knees, hips, and thighs off the floor. This is incredibly beneficial for your posture and your general shoulder health. So I love upward facing dog for what it does for your upper body. It also helps to strengthen your triceps, strengthen your shoulders, and even your latissimus dorsi, your lats, your bat wings. In addition to this, it's also improving your spinal flexibility and mobility, and it is helping to strengthen the spine and your core as well. Another thing that people commonly overlook when it comes to upward facing dog, particularly if they're executing it in a saggy way or they're forgetting to squeeze their glutes, is that upward facing dog can also help to strengthen the lower abs, strengthen and stretch at the same time your hip flexors, and also strengthen your glutes. All right, contraindications, what to look out for in upward facing dog. So one of the key ones is upward facing dog is not like hips on the floor, just straightening your arms, because that's just gonna crunch into your back. We want to make sure that knees, hips, and thighs are off the floor. Now, if you have sacrum issues, you're gonna find that this may be an irritating pose. And I have in the past had, particularly prior to introducing weight training into my life, had sacroiliac issues because my glutes weren't very strong, and so they weren't supporting the hypermobility that I had in my spine from my gymnastics and dance days. So I found this pose particularly irritating for sciatica and for any lower back issues. If that is you, like there's just literally no, life is too short to have any, and slash long, to have any irritation in your lower back and your sacrum. Like it's
depressing and frustrating and boring and annoying.
And so, yeah, we don't want to do any activities that are gonna irritate that nerve. So you're just gonna do cobra pose and it doesn't matter, and your life is not gonna be worse off because of it, right? In fact, it's probably gonna be better because you're not gonna be suffering from back pain. So just eliminate this pose and introduce weight training into your life. See if that helps. And over time, you may be able to reintroduce a posture like this. All right, ankle and foot pain can come up as well because you're obviously with your foot in a plantar flex position like so, and it's also having to activate a little bit. If you have any past foot injuries, this is probably another one you want to leave off the list that you don't necessarily need to go into. That said, if it's not causing you pain, but you have a previous foot injury, then it should be fine. It's just we learn to listen to and honor and respect pain. Okay, last but not least, if you have very tight hip flexors, you may find that this pose is too difficult for you to get a sort of posterior tilt, pelvic tilt when you come into it. So you may find that if your hips are super tight, that this mobility, to get into the position, you're having to overarch or overextend through the back. Now this may happen in your thoracolumbar junction, the junction in between your thoracic spine and your lumbar spine, or it may happen all into the lumbar spine or in the lumbar and sacrum part. You have to, I guess, play around with it in order to know whether it is an irritating position. But if you're finding that you're really, really sharp in your back bend, or you feel any pain in that thoracolumbar, so higher up junction, then again, another one that you should just back up out of and practice your cobra, practice Bhujangasana. It might be the younger cousin of this pose, but I really find that an active cobra pose helps to strengthen and facilitate the active range so that you can perform a safe upward facing dog later. Cool. Alrighty. Thank you so much for joining. I hope you enjoyed that discussion on how to execute the upward facing dog position. Don't forget that I have a whole bunch of yoga sequences where upward facing dog features. So why not just have a little look through my videos, and honestly, you could pick literally any one, particularly the vinyasa flows, and I will be doing upward facing dog, and you can apply what you've just learned from me here to that position. Honestly, I think it's the best way to learn and to reinforce your learning is to, once you kind of have these like educational pieces, to then like whip them over and practice immediately. So head over to one of my videos now, and I'll link some here so that you know which ones to do, so that you can apply these learnings appropriately, safely, and effectively. I don't know why that sounded like I was gonna go into like Chicago, didn't it? Anyway, thanks for watching. See you guys.